Rum num 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 num. Rum num 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 num. Rum num 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 num. Okay, you ready for another year of Queer and Pleasant Strangers?
Yes, we're ready.
Oh, goodness, grapefruits.
Oh,
Well, that's it. We've had a rest. We've had a holiday. It's time to
pull the ripcord and we go.
pull the anal beads like a ripcord and go for it. Old music thing. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet. And welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers. Is that you breathing?
Shouldn't have pulled it that hard.
Shouldn't have pulled that hard.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Queer and Pleasant Strangers. It's a podcast. Two queer trans ladies talk about the media we have consumed in our week, or in this case, 2 weeks, because we took a week off.
We had a holiday.
We had some time off over the holidays, which we don't do very often.
We didn't go anywhere this year or
No,
anything. We
but-
didn't have any reason for any time off. So
We had some time off in the house, and it was lovely.
it was. We have spent a whole year in the house together, and we spent a further 9 days,
Yeah.
basically in the same room together. Yeah, we do.
We very much enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. Still into each other, still smooching, still butt touching.
We are not part of that statistic of all of the many couples who did pandemic and were like, oh no, I don't like this person as much as I thought.
No, we still flirt and all sorts.
Yeah, we do butt touchings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know, shock and horror.
So let me unroll this massive scroll. What have you played? Played.
What have we played? We've played a lot this week. There's a lot. I'm scrolling up. There's a lot.
Keep going and going.
I'm going to put this in the played section. It's a thing I did with my hands and interacted with. I spent most of my time off building some Gundam models.
Yeah.
I did some Gundam models.
Yeah.
The last time I had a Gundam model, it took me a year to build it because finding time to do things for me.
Which is why on the 24th of December I went to bed with absolute crippling paranoia.
Oh no. All I needed was time and the reassurance that it was okay for me to sit and build a model kit for several straight days.
Mm-hmm.
I did require a lot of reassuring it was okay for me to build a model kit for several straight days.
Build a robbling friend.
I built 2 robots. I built one, and it was a shiny one, and the head can transform into a ship, and there's 2 ships, and you can switch out which one you want depending on how much weapons you want when the head is connected to the top of the robot. And the middle of the robot is all hollow, so that you can fit the nose of the ship, which folds sort of forward and then backwards and comes out the back, and you can fold the front of the ship in so that it's sort of in the cavity of the robot. So I built one that had 2 different heads, and one of the heads has currently got a little stand on it, and it is a ship on my shelf, and the rest of it is a robot.
Those little sky zoomies.
Little sky zoomies. And then I also built my first perfect grade Gundam, which was...
It's a perfect grade.
It's really big, and it's got LEDs in it, and its eyes light up when you turn the switch on the back, and it's got a place to hang a gun on its side and one on its back, and you can put the sword handles up on its sort of wing things, and it's got individually posable fingers with finger joints.
It's large.
His legs can bend into U shapes. It's got so much articulation.
It can do that little flirty kick.
The little sort of flirty skip behind yourself, yeah. It's...
Self in the bum.
I spent the better part of 6 days worth of the holiday just building Gundams. Spent about 3 days on each. Had a great time. It's my first time doing a Gundam kit that had an LED kit built into it.
Yeah.
I love Gundam model building.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I really enjoy... Here is just a box of bits and a big set of instructions to follow, and it's that little step more complicated than, say, Lego or something, where you're having to check orientation of pieces and, make sure that things connect together right, and, there's ball joints and things involved.
But not as far necessarily as having to paint them.
Yes, exactly. They come out looking pretty good unpainted, which is about right for my level of coordination. You just snap them out of the plastic and clip them together. And
also, we've got a proper tool for clipping things out of plastic now.
yeah, we do. We have a proper unclip the Gundam piece from the sheet of plastic tool.
Mm-hmm.
I love doing Gundam model kits as a thing to just completely zone out. Like, it is, there's that bit of my brain, the lovely neurodiverse autism-y bit of my brain that just wants to go, hey, let's just turn off the world and hyperfixate on a task, and every time I look up at the clock I go, I thought that was half an hour, it's been 4 hours, where did the time go? And that's how I spent my time off. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I spent like 6 days just hyperfixating, and at the end I was like, I made this a robot!
Yeah.
I made a robot. I keep picking it up and going like, robot. Yeah, that was my time. What have you been playing?
That wasn't all of your time. There was other
I
time.
know, but that was a big one.
We played some board games together.
We did. What board games did we play together?
Oh, so many board games. We played Flatline.
Yes, we did.
This is another one from Renegade Games.
The worst kept UDP gift possible.
Want to tell this story?
Yeah, I ordered it online, and I ordered it specifically with it's a gift. It must not be obvious what it is. It's a gift. And it turned up at the front door just with a stick.
They slapped a packing label on the shrink wrap.
Yes, so Jane answered the door and was like, oh, it's very clear what this is.
I have no idea what this is or who it's for. It could be for anyone.
Yeah, so that was a not very well kept secret. But do you want to tell us about Flatline?
So it's a dice rolling cooperative game where basically you are doctors, you have limited time to try and save all of your patients.
Yeah.
And depending on how many players there are, you can add sort of more total patients to solve. Each round is a sort of a planning, drawing new threats to come out. So there will be things that will be potentially very bad, and you will roll for that. And you can mitigate those by just sort of trying to solve them during the healing phase.
Yeah.
Or you can just go, I'm just going to work on healing patients, fuck everything else.
You've basically got, you've got certain types of cards. You've got very, 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 very bad things that if you fail too many of them, you just completely lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you successfully fix them, they then become buffs that you can have a certain number of to use as and when you see fit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the optional challenges that will just sort of hinder your ability to play things. They won't actively harm you, like bring you closer to loss by themselves.
Mount them up.
Yeah, they mount up and they get worse and worse, and it's basically you roll some dice and you have to hope that the worst ones won't come up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I was skeptical at first of playing it with the included timer. I was like, oh, that seems like it's going to be too stressful.
Yeah,
that's the whole
it's
point of
just
the
a
game.
minute, and there isn't, it runs off the normal Renegade app, which is great because you don't have to download something separate from Clank.
Exactly, and after having played it, I think the 1 minute time limit works in this game's favour because at its
I think if you had too much time, it would be kind of pedestrian.
Yeah, the game would be way too easy because all you're basically doing is rolling dice and going, where do I want to put these?
And how I pattern match these things.
Yeah, like, what's the best way to use them? What things can I mitigate? What things can I work towards? By limiting the players to a minute, it gives it this really good frantic feel of, oh my god, what have I got? What should I focus on? Remembering to ask the other person what they've got. There's a lot of shouting back and forth on the table.
Because some things can only be fixed by multiple people. So it's like, yes, I have this. Do you have any of these? Because we can fix this together. Otherwise, I will move on to something else.
Yes, and it's trying to not spend too long working out, do we have the thing for this? Like, you've got the planning phase before you go in, so it's like, that really bad thing can be 4 of anything, we'll fix that. So, right at the end, if we've got like 5 seconds left, just throw some things on there, doesn't matter, we'll use whatever's left.
When do I re-roll things?
Yeah, you can do re-rolls, limited numbers of times, there's a lot of ability to change and impact your dice, and to work with someone else's pool of dice to progress things.
And there's usually enough going on the board, full stop, that you can find something to do.
Yeah, it's not like, say, a Yahtzee where, like, the only thing that will progress me in the game is if I get this one piece, this one set of dice that I'm missing and I'm not getting it.
I've already rolled 6 5s, and I've already clamped that in So I really can't do anything else with these remaining 5.
Yeah, for most of the game, up until like the very final patient, every time you are getting rid of something off the board, something new's probably coming back on to give you new things to do. And because you and the other player have so many dice to work with, it's the right level of dice use game, I think.
I'm interested in how the single player for that works, because I looked at the details and single player seems to have the same time limit and the same number of patients as 2-player.
Huh.
So it feels like that would be like a much higher difficulty.
I feel like you would need twice the time to deal with your twice as many dice you presumably have. No?
Same amount of dice. You get 1 player's worth of dice. You get the full pool. If you're playing 2-player, you get the full pool. If you're playing single player, you get the full pool. If you're playing 3 or 4, you have to just completely remove 1 from the game.
Yeah.
And 1 other one just sits, and you can pick it up later as you get like additional like +1 dice.
Yeah.
Actions.
It's a real interesting little game.
It really is. Great fun.
It captures the chaos that a game about trying to save patients probably should have.
Yes, yeah, it's got a real sort of like we're gonna do this. Stat.
Everything's going wrong and the stakes are high, but we're gonna do this.
Check the charts. What's their thermometer? what's their temperature like? Someone get a stethoscope.
Not too lengthy a game either.
No, I think we knocked that out in about 40 minutes.
Yeah,
that include learning the game.
Yeah, it's not got too high of a learning curve either.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good game.
Yeah, had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, what other board games did we play?
We played Forbidden Sky, the third in the trilogy of Forbidden games by Matt Leacock.
Yes, another one of these very similar to the mechanics of Forbidden Desert, but just tweaked enough to feel fresh.
Yeah.
You're trying to build platforms in the sky and connect a circuit up together to make a spaceship fly.
A literal circuit.
Yes. You're basically having to put down squares to sort of create the map as you go, unlike something like Forbidden Desert where the tiles are already down.
Yeah.
You're deciding which tiles to put in which places with which orientation, with the only stipulation being that some part of the circuit has to connect up when you place a new tile.
And you have to be able to move to that.
Yeah,
on
yeah. And then you have... instead of having the desert sort of shift around in the way that the desert did, the wind will blow you in certain directions. If it blows you off the board, that will cause issues for you.
You'll lose some rope.
Yep.
If you get electrocuted, either because you're on a circuit where a lightning rod will connect to you or connect to the circuit, then you will be electrocuted unless you're standing in a Faraday cage.
Yeah, you have to either not be stood near the circuit or stand in a Faraday cage, which are certain things. You've got to find the parts to build your rocket platform, and then your circuit has to contain like this many small platforms,
Conductors.
this many large conductors, this many of the lightning rods, and you've got to set them all out, manage to connect them up with the connectors you've got, which are set sizes.
Yep.
And create your circuit.
Yep. And then you got to get to the rocket and put the last circuit down, and then the rocket lights up and goes, "Prenum."
It's a very satisfyingly tactile game.
Yes.
I loved Forbidden Desert with its whole, I made a little ship and I put the propeller in and the little dial in the back.
And that's got a Mentor award.
Like this you're not putting the ship together, but it's equally as tactile in the whole, like, I made the circuit and it worked and the thing did a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like a good game where the things you are collecting and putting down feel like they're advancing some prop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun little puzzle because you've really got to think, like, there was a whole section towards the end, like, we're going to have to build it in a very specific way because otherwise we cannot build a loop back around to the ship.
Yes.
So we ended up adding in a bunch of extra lightning rods just to make the connection.
Which made everything more dangerous because now lightning is dropping in more places.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's the thing that we didn't really think about, is that you've got to make a looped circuit.
Yes.
And
we sort of started like, we'll just head off in this direction. Oh, that's a way that we can make like large capacitor. I think they're capacitors, not
yeah.
you can make large capacitors over here, and that'll work out for us. And it's like, we have made large capacitors, but we've run out of any more to put on the board, which means in order to make what we have to make for this game, we have to be really careful about how we place everything else.
And you've only got, you've got small and large connectors, but you've only got so many of each type, and you're having to work out, if I place this capacitor on this square, do I have a connector that will reach there?
Yep.
It's a fun little spatial
puzzle.
awareness puzzle.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun with it. I look forward to playing it again sometime.
Yep. It's got about the right difficulty curve compared to, say, Forbidden Desert.
I think of the Forbidden games that I play, that is only Forbidden Desert and Forbidden Skies. I think I prefer Skies.
I think I do too.
I'm glad of the three that I own Skies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind playing Island, but I have heard that Desert fixed a lot of the problems with Island.
Yeah.
And that Sky is about the same level as Desert, so it's just a case of which one do you want?
Indeed. Well, I can definitely see us coming back to this.
Yay!
What else have we played in the board games? We played a lot of board games, didn't we?
We played a lot of board games. We played some, just board games. We played Bill and Ted. Riff in Time.
Yeah, this came out of your random box of new things.
My new release box by Zatu. There will be a video up of that probably before this, so go check that out on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so this is... as soon as I got a good look at the art on the boxes and the manuals, I was like, this was a miniatures game at some point, wasn't it? And I suspect it was kickstarted. Because there is an expansion where you can get miniatures of all the people of historical significance.
Yes, all the art is clearly photos of painted miniatures.
Yes, they're well painted, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But also, I see what you did there. So basically, there is a rift in time. San Dimas is going to be sucked in. It's getting worse and bigger. And you have to go around... all of the people of historical significance have been shifted around through time.
It's exactly what you'd imagine a Bill and Ted board game to be. Everyone's in the wrong place and the wrong time. Go sort them out.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated to sort of get started. And if you draw badly out of the rift deck, you can have a really bad time very quickly.
Yeah, that instruction manual is not great at being clear. We had to stop and start
doesn't help
again.
That it keeps using it's too busy trying to be in its gimmick rather than being an understandable manual.
Yes, it's too much there's a difference between riff and rift. And that's going to be an important gameplay distinction to make.
Especially when your game name is a pun on riff and rift.
Yes, exactly. It's the difficulty balance seems a little not quite right.
Yeah, I mean it really seems very random about what comes out of the rift deck, because there could be things that do multiple bad things over and over and over again, and are escalating all sorts of areas. In two-player, it can be fairly difficult to juggle that.
Yeah, and there's... The thing that really coloured my impression of the first game we played was we drew a lot of cards early on in the game that are all players get teleported to this location.
Yeah, and it was I have no agency here. I can't do anything.
And from what I could tell from that second game, those aren't super common in the deck, but we just had a real bad string of luck on our first game, and we're just getting ping-ponged around the board and couldn't, it's okay, I have this person, I just have to get them 3 spaces away. Oops, I've been ping-ponged to the other side of the map.
And you've had to eject your person in San Dimas as well, so you've got to go somewhere else and get them back.
I'm not opposed to that kind of card if the game gives you a resource you can save and hold on to counter it.
Yeah.
If there's Unstable Unicorn's Nope card, where you can just be I'm going to save this, and I'm going to use it to, no, I don't want to get teleported across the map.
Or even, a special limited ability where you have to roll, extra bogus dice to nope something.
Yeah.
So basically, there is a degree of dice rolling. So you've got the randomness of the deck, you've got the randomness of the dice rolling. Your basic dice will have, I think it's 2 bogus, 2 action, or 2 movement.
Yeah.
So... And you have to roll 4 dice. So, generally speaking, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting just something bad for you that
Yeah.
will either make the rift where you are standing worse, or the rift in San Dimas worse if it's already at 10. Yeah, there's a lot that can go very, very badly wrong with that.
Yeah.
And
But-
then you've got the fact that you might not roll any movement and have tons of actions.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can't do a lot with this.
Here's the thing. I like the game in its middle third.
Yeah.
Once you've got moving, you've got like a personal quest that you can do that will reward you with a permanent upgrade that will be something like every turn you get a movement for free, or every turn you
Yeah.
get an action for free. And once you get that unlocked and you have your like once a turn bonuses, that really helps. And once you get sort of into that mid game where it's like, okay, I've picked up some of the people from their wrong places in time. Those people, while they're travelling with me, grant me bonuses, which means I have better dice, or maybe I get a reroll of just one dice from my pool. That's giving me greater control over the results I'm getting, which is letting me actually spec towards what I'm doing.
Yes.
That middle portion of the game where it's like, I am getting the people to the places and everything is working, was really satisfying.
Yeah, so we've talked about the chaos of the beginning game, the nice settled moment of the mid game, and then there's just the blandness of the end game, where it just feels really pedestrian.
The
like,
last 10 minutes or so, you are overpowered and you're just sort of ticking things off a list.
pretty much.
It's the problem with it is that by the time you reach the end of the game, sort of by necessity of the fact that you will have closed several rifts as you go, and each time you close a rift, that player gets like a better dice to put in their pool of dice. You reach a point where it's like, I'm not getting many bad results, and I'm just sort of pottering around closing the rifts now.
Yeah, you do get one free reroll per turn anyway.
Yeah.
There's a chance that one of your special abilities that you've unlocked might be a reroll for a single die. So by that point in the game, there is so much you can mitigate.
Yes.
Like, basically, some of the people, as you have them in the booth with you,
Yeah.
will give you a blue die, which is sort of a mid-tier die.
Yeah.
And that will help you sort of shuffle them around a little bit, and it's worth even just hanging on to some of them.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, okay, now I've got 2 blue die and 2 yellow die. Generally, things are going pretty well.
And I like that mechanically, that some of the nicer historical figures, it is to your benefit to have them with you. They help you on your journey.
But Genghis Khan will give you 2 bogus dice that you have to roll.
Exactly. Genghis Khan is a bit more of a tricky customer to move through space and time. I thought
Genghis Khan can do
mechanically
nothing. Yeah, I mean,
it
it was
fit the
fun.
narrative nicely.
Yeah, it fit the narrative nicely. It just goes from to this is fun to
Yeah, it is just a case of like you've reached the last 10 minutes where both of us were playing with a full set of pink dice, which were the best dice you can be using, and as such, very few of us were getting boguses at any point.
Yeah.
We're just like, okay, well, we'll just.
and when
pop
we
over
did,
there
it was
and
like,
close them.
oh well, I'm already somewhere that's fixed, so that doesn't get any worse.
Yeah. It. There's a really good game in the middle of this.
Yes.
And I'm curious whether it would feel different with a larger player group, if that would change.
It would certainly stop both or 2 players having a full set of.
Yes,
Pink
and I don't know
dice.
if that would be enough to help, maybe. I'd be curious to play it with a larger group of people, but
Yeah.
the end game was just, there was a point where we were just sort of
Yeah.
doing the motions at the end a
Pretty
little bit.
much, yeah.
Had a good time, but...
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to sort of think about the things. Like, I like the idea of, so you shuffle all the locations and then they go on the board, just based on what the numbers are on the board. So they're in random places. Depending on which point they are on the board, to go into the red zone, it's a different number. Some of them it's 6, some of them it's like 8 or so.
Yeah.
And if they tick up to 10, they can't go any higher, but that will just tick San Dimas up instead. At the end of a round, San Dimas ticks up. It almost felt like what we needed was less ways later on to fix San Dimas.
Yeah, we were too good at lowering San Dimas toward the end, and that sort of nullified some
trivial.
Yes. It helped that both of us got special abilities that lowered it, and I had one that was lowering it by multiple by myself.
Yes.
But...
Yeah, it feels like this wasn't playtested well. Like, they got
Yeah.
the brand and just went, yeah, just fucking go for
And
it.
I mean, they came up with some mechanics that fit the brand. They just
Yeah.
it feels like it could have used some more time tweaking the rule set.
Yeah.
We did play one other board game.
Yes, we played Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
The most brutally decadent board game I've ever.
It is. There's so much game happening.
There is a lot of game happening.
Yeah, so
It's made by the people that made Cloudspire.
This is another dice doing game.
Yep, so it's a dice rolling game, but with poker chips.
Yeah. It's one where you are building up a character and like unlocking moves for them like it's an RPG
Mm-hmm.
to go on a little dungeon crawling quest, and usually you get some choices about how to deal with whatever scenario gets drawn out the deck.
Are you going to do a fight, or are you going to try and do a sneaky game of chance, roll a dice,
Yeah.
and maybe you'll still have to do a fight if that goes badly.
Yeah, you get better rewards if you do the riskier thing, but if you get killed, you don't the quest isn't over, you just don't get the rewards for that particular bit of the adventure, which is going to make the final boss much harder.
Yeah, because you won't have got any experience from it, you won't have any training points, and that really makes a difference.
You've got to really balance how often you go for the big reward to try and get those last couple of abilities on your character before you do the big fight at the end.
Yeah.
And the battle system is you've got this sort of like grid mat that you move your little stack of poker chips around, and you put little dice on top of the stack to signify various status effects. You just do dungeon crawling combat stuff.
Yeah, it's got a lot of dice in it, and generally the dice are just for like stat effects, or they're just counters.
They're often specific to the character.
Yeah, like every character has their own pool of 15 dice.
Yeah.
15?
20 or so dice?
Something like that.
Each
20 or
character's
so
got?
dice. And that will be for your different abilities. Then you have consumable dice.
Yeah.
Then you've also got like your stat dice, which are just numbers that you tick up.
You've got like 4 stats for your base character, and all of the characters have different abilities, but every character has like an attack and defense number, which are how many of the attack dice and defense dice you can roll at a time. You've got dexterity, which is
how many dice you can roll per
total.
turn.
Yeah, so if you've got a dexterity of 3, an attack of 2 and a defense of 1, you can roll 3 dice from that pool of 2 attack and 2 defense.
Or if you've got, say, 2 attack, 2 defense, you could, decide which one you're going to roll 2 and which one you're going to roll 1.
Yeah, exactly.
But that also includes your special dice.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to throw in there?
And then you've got your HP, which is its own stat.
And your character sheet is a mouse map.
Your character sheet is a mouse map with holes cut into it to put the... When you purchase a dice to, like, unlock it for your character, you put them in the holes in the mouse map.
Yeah. It's all neoprene, and it's beautifully, sewn at the edges.
You can save dice for later. You've got, like, little sections to save certain... locked slots. The characters have a lot of depth to them. It's a bit overwhelming at first.
Yes.
There is definitely a learning curve of, you've handed me a double-sided sheet of tiny text that has a billion different attacks and symbols of here's what this dice has on every side of it, and here's your movesets,
But luckily the backside does include okay, here is your character, here's what they're good at, here's how we recommend as a starting build.
Once I got over the initial overwhelming of, oh my god, there's so many mechanics going on,
Yes.
that sheet did do a really good job of going look, for this character, as a beginner, these are the abilities you probably want to level up and the sort of order you want to level them up in, and these are the abilities you want to pick up and the sort of order you want to pick them up and how they synergize with each other. It's a good cheat sheet for here's the basis of how this character works.
Yep.
I was playing... What was my character called?
You were playing as Pickett, the
Pickett.
blue one, naturally.
Yeah, Pickett's whole deal is... he's really good at building up defense, and building lots of, defense numbers, and then spending this resource called Bones, which is I fucked up this roll, it didn't get the thing I wanted, but I can save those bones and spend them later.
That's your backup
plan. You can spend your bones to basically ditch all of your defense for one all-out very big attack.
Which is great against bosses.
Yeah, against bosses, it's that thing has 8 health, I will stack up 8 defense and then charge it. He also has a couple of dice that if you can roll them successfully and lock them into your locked slots, they give you permanent or ongoing upgrades. permanently 1 free attack point every turn, and heal 1 HP at the start of every one of your rounds. And those are so super good. If you can luck out and get those locked in your slots early on in the game, Pickett's a really good character.
Lock your slots.
Yeah, and then Pickett can do some things like Red Shirt, where they can sort of jump in and take an attack for someone else.
Which is great if you're playing with someone like Patches, who is basically a squishy healer.
Yep, you've got Riposte, where if you've got enough of these Riposte dice set aside, you can sort of counter an attack and do some damage back, and yeah, there was a lot of complexity to that character.
Yeah, and well, I mean, there's a lot of complexity to everything, but once you get over the initial, like, oh god, there's so much to learn.
It's
like, if you can get someone else to set the game up for you and generally sort of point you on the first few bits, it very rapidly just becomes like, I have my reference sheet for, so I know what all my skills do at a glance.
Yeah.
I have my advice on the back, as well as like any errata that I might need.
Yeah.
And then you've got like this 2-sided sheet that just sits next to the board and here's what all of the enemies' abilities mean.
Yep.
And on the backside, it's like, here are certain things you might find throughout your adventure, and here's how you deal with that. Like how to pick locks for trove loot, which is a particular type of loot. There is a dice rolling mechanic for. Okay, I've got to roll this to unlock this part of the lock. Okay, now I can feel that biting on one. I can feel that biting on one. And yeah, okay, now that's, and there we go. We twisted it open.
I felt much better about the game once I'd made it a couple of rounds into that initial combat, like that tutorial fight.
Yes.
By the time I'd had like my second turn in combat, I was like, I sort of understand what's happening here, and I picked the rest up as I went. But
like it is really simple once you get over that initial hurdle.
Yes, it's the first time you pick up a character sheet, having never played this game. I didn't know whether I wanted to scream or cry. Both of them were like, this is a
I think I played 2 solo games of this before, like, I tried to show you any of it.
Yeah.
And, because you were busy in a way with Gundam stuff, so it was just like, I can sit here and really try and dig in with this, and it was like, can we pause what we're watching on TV? I need to watch an hour-long video about how to play this, because I've been staring at this manual for, like, 2 hours now, and I still don't get it.
Yeah.
And even then, there was still bits I was missing. It doesn't help that there are sometimes, like, okay, this is what I need to learn. Cool. So I'll look at the index at the back of the manual. The manual says that this thing is referred to on this page, and this page. Look it up. There is no explanation for that thing. It wasn't in the manual. It was on the cheat sheet on the table. And I have found generally, like, if there is a really big question I have generally while playing the game, start on the cheat sheet, because it's pretty much there. And if you can explain 90% of the rules of the game looking at a double side of A4 that's just available on the table at all times, you're not doing too badly. And a large chunk of that is, here is the turn order for a fight, here is the turn order for what to do, like, in a rest.
Yeah.
You rest, you recover health, or you can spend some loot to go and look for some better loot. So you can just go, oh yeah, I've used this thing twice, it's about to go, I'll just go and look for some better loot and trade that in for the other loot. Which can be really handy. You can make lock-picking attempts.
Oh, I got a really good bit of equipment at one point.
You really did.
It would, on all of my defense dice, it would turn bones into 1s and 1s into 2s. Mm-hmm. So just all of my defense dice were knocked up by 1, which for this character was like, oh, that's amazing.
That's very nice.
Yeah. I could guarantee a minimum amount of defense I would roll, which was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, too many bones.
Too many bones.
Wonderfully complex, deep.
Obscene deck.
We have so much play to get out of this game. We are going to be playing this for months and months.
And it's helped me realise that actually I think I enjoy dungeon crawlers more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
I still don't think I want to play Gloomhaven, but
I like dungeon crawlers as a co-op experience.
Oh yes, yeah. It's definitely a lot more fun. Because I played the first quest on my own, did all right with that. We played through it together. We did really well.
Yeah.
I played through the second quest on my own and it was completely impossible.
Yeah.
Because the boss has this whole thing where half the time you can't hit it.
Yeah.
And if you get it to 3 or less health on its turn, it will just leave the battle and come back in, so it will lose any status effects on it,
Yeah.
and it will have full health and potentially not be attackable for a while.
You needed me with my big charge at it with a shield
Yes,
to help.
but it didn't help that, like, I would just be really carefully like, I'm just going to do a little bit of damage for you, okay, and then I'll try and work out for a really big hit next time, and then... So there's this thing, if a battle gets over or up to 6 rounds,
Yes.
at the start of the round, everyone takes 1 damage.
Yes.
Which, if you're really carefully trying to chip off an enemy's health,
Yeah.
and they have this whole thing of, well, actually, I don't take any damage this turn from combat. It's like, oh, well, you've been knocked off by the round counter, so you've lost 1. So it comes around to your turn, so you respawn, and now I have to start again, which with my character just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. It definitely seems like you need an adventuring party.
Yeah, it says solo, and it does have like specific encounters just for solo, like a whole different encounter deck that you play with. But at the same time, like, it's definitely a lot in solo.
Yeah. We played some video
We
games.
played a lot of video games.
I finally finished Mass Effect Andromeda on my 3rd time trying to play it. I don't remember getting very far the first time, the second time. Apparently I made it, like, real near the end. I would estimate I made it 85 to 90% of the way through that game on the previous attempt, and just... I don't know what happened, I just fell off playing it. And this time I've done it. I've completed it. I have done all of the quests, with the exception of the DLC quest that never got released, that gets talked about in the game, like, oh, hey, you should go save that ship when they're ready, and that quest never got added. I really enjoy Mass Effect Andromeda mechanically, but it's weird to play it to completion so many years after it's been... It was clearly meant to be the first game in a series, and it never got its sequels, and that leads to some very weird knowledge while playing it. I have some, like, overall thematic complaints about it. Stuff like, unlike something like, say, Star Trek Voyager, this sends you halfway across the universe in order to see exactly the same species that you've been seeing back in the original Mass Effect. It's not particularly interesting. They're having the same problems that they were having back home. The game seems a little too obsessed with going like, oh, see how this ties into the old ones. It's like, no, we've gone across space, let's do something new.
Yeah, but we want to talk about Commander Shepard and
Yeah.
stuff.
But what I did really like was I really liked the open world structure of a lot of the planets. I liked dropping down to a big planet that is completely inhospitable and that you can barely leave your sort of moon rover and go, let's go do some quests. And the more quests I do, the more you sort of fix up the planet and make it more survivable, and eventually you build your little base on it, and then after you've built a base on it, new quests pop up, and getting 100% viability on all the planets by doing every single little quest that was on them on the map.
Breathable.
It was really nice to play it as a game to just be a real completionist about. Like, I spent entire days where it's like, all I did today was side quests, try and do the side quests before I go to the new planets, and...
Did you ever get that UV lamp for those burners?
I did find the UV lamp so that they could grow their definitely not drugs.
Definitely not drugs.
Definitely not drugs. Definitely not space drugs. It's our special mushrooms, that's all. Our special space mushrooms. That are medicinal, you know. Yeah, it's very odd finishing it, because like a lot of the big moments in Andromeda are make this really difficult choice that clearly some people are pissed off about, and like, this is going to have an impact in the second or third game of the series. There's a lot of, you defeated the villain, but like, we're gonna ominously show you his second in command to be like, oh, it's not over yet, he's gonna come for you in the next one. There's a lot of, like, very clear cliffhanger plot threads that, because this game flopped and never got its planned sequels, just kind of go nowhere.
Yeah.
And that kind of... For all the complaints that I've seen people have about the original Mass Effect trilogy, like, not feeling like their choices mattered, your choices mattered to the degree that a choice you made in the first game will mean that certain characters won't ally with you in the next one, and you're going to work hard with them.
Won't
like
even be there in the
yeah,
second.
might be dead by the second one. Like, there was no feeling of any kind of consequence. It felt like a single, it didn't feel branching.
No.
Which is weird for a Mass Effect. It set up a lot of branches and then just sort of cut them off dead. But, like, I liked a lot of the new party members. I enjoyed a lot of the quest lines. Some of the moral choice stuff was interesting in a vacuum, even though it didn't pan out too much. And I'm glad I finished it and played it. It's a mechanically fun RPG shooter. I had my little my little moveset set up where I'd go into every battle, drain a bunch of shield off an enemy, blast them with a big sort of psychic blast, and then summon in a little robot that would then help me fight.
Beep boop.
Beep boop. I leveled up my character and maxed out a bunch of their stats, and I want more Mass Effect games.
You deserve more Mass Effect games.
It's a real shame that this one was as poorly received as it was. And, like, I get it. I received it really poorly when I started playing it back in the day. I enjoy it more now coming back to it with a better idea of what to expect, but with the benefit of hindsight and knowing what to expect going in, I'm really disappointed this didn't get to have its sequels. Because there was a very promising game here, and I like a lot of the direction of how it did its planet stuff.
I mean, from an outside perspective, as someone who's played most of Mass Effect 1, it looked like a Mass Effect game.
Yeah. You got about as far into Mass Effect 1 as I did into Andromeda the last time I played it.
Yeah, and weirdly I didn't even notice. Apparently I stopped playing that at some point.
Yeah, exactly the same thing I did with Andromeda. Didn't realise I'd stopped playing it.
Stopped caring.
Just stopped caring right before the end.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because Andromeda has a really good action set-piece ending. I really enjoyed how Andromeda ended.
I must say, like, the whole big bad situation looked way more interesting in that one.
Yeah, they did a good job with their big bad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fascinatory.
Yeah. What about you? What have you played, video gamey wise?
I played Doom 64.
Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Tell me about Doom 64.
I owned it very briefly on the N64 years and years ago, and I remember at the time going, "This isn't Doom. The graphics aren't the same." And then for years and years afterwards, going, "I really kind of like that graphical style. I don't know why I didn't give it more of a chance. I really did rather enjoy it. And maybe it was the N64 controller. Maybe." But I definitely had more fun playing it with a keyboard and mouse. But yeah, it's Doom, but with slightly shinier graphics. Well, technically it runs in 4K, which is weird for a Doom game. But like they've done stuff to it to like upscale textures and things.
Yeah.
I believe from talking about just the original, that they had like reshot some of the graphics to be slightly higher res, so there'd be very similar models to the original Doom game. Like the Cyber Demon feels almost identical in many ways.
Yeah. Like
feels a bit trimmer. Doesn't feel as broad and bulky. But like the explosion in that is like, I recognise that. I know those little feety bits that are left behind. The Arachnotrons in that I really like. It was a shame not to see the Spider Mastermind, but that was never my favourite boss anyway. I always liked the much cuter baby Arachnotrons. I shoot you with my plasma gun! The weird, big laser gun in that.
Yeah.
Every time you pick one up, it just goes, "What the blank is this?" It's like, okay, I don't know. It seems powerful-ish. I got all the way to the end of that game and then found out there's a bunch of secret levels that will power that gun up so that it's better. Which makes the last boss not completely impossible. Because, like, if you complete all of the secret levels, unlock these glyphs or whatever they are, and power up this gun fully, the last boss doesn't do some of its attacks. So it's actually considerably easier to fight. As well as that, you can just, like, shut off this whole area that just spawns enemies. Yeah. So you avoid a lot of that fight as well.
This is like fighting the end boss of Majora's Mask with the Fierce Deity Mask.
I guess so, yeah.
You just skip over a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, just skip over a bunch of stuff. It seems almost trivial by the end of it. Yeah, like, I think that was a big part of it. Like, getting all the way through it and going, I did the Doom game, and I did that Doom game that I'd wanted for ages, and it was only, like, £2 on Steam, so I felt justified buying it for once. Yeah, it did feel a bit crummy to get to the end of the game and go, you're going to have a really difficult time, because it's just going to fire homing missiles at you constantly.
Oops.
Yeah, so I may have just looked up the password to unlock all the things, and then went round and used guides to look up the secret areas because I was curious. So
yeah.
I played some of the secret levels. I played some of the fun maps. Because I got to because I was basically saving at the beginning of every level, and just so I didn't have to lose all my weapons if I died.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just going from you're on I think it was level 21 to you're on level 28 now. I'm sorry, what now? what just happened? I think I was playing a game. Can I have some of my game back? You appear to have stolen some of my game. Yeah, and then it's just like that. Oh, this is the end, is it? This is the end. Okay, I'll play the end, fight the boss. So yeah, I got to see pretty much all of that game that I'm interested in right now.
Yeah.
I had 2 solid days of play Doom 64. It's
nice.
Yeah, it's a nice version of Doom, and it looks very nice on PC.
Cool.
And what about you?
I have been playing more Yakuza Like a Dragon.
How's that going?
That's going great. I'm having a wonderful time. That game's pretty fantastic. I did all of the friendship quests with all of my party members by just filling them full of bonsai trees until they loved me.
Pump bonsais into them until they love you.
Exactly. I now know sort of what's going on. I've had my first confrontation with the final boss. And sort of we're not going to be able to talk this out, are we? Well, so I'll talk about the bit that I did today. This game does something really weird with its leveling curve, and it's not necessarily a problem. I just don't understand why it's a thing. So, I've been playing the game since the start. I've been slowly working my levels up. My team's mostly in the early 30s. I think they're around level 33, 34. And suddenly, I was playing it on stream and I got told by chat, hey, the next mission you go to will expect you to be level 50. I was like, this game's had a really steady level curve up until this point. It seems really weird this far in to go. Because what I anticipated was, I'm just going to have to spend hours level grinding.
But it's a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah, I know, but it's not had the leveling curve of a Dragon Quest game, and it still doesn't. I'll get to that in a second. But, yeah, out of nowhere it expects this 15 level jump. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then I get pointed to this building, called the Battle Tower. It's 30 floors of do a fight and then move to the next floor, and it is purpose designed to get you from level 30-ish to level 50 in about an hour.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, you're going to go up 15 to 20 levels in about an hour, getting you to where you need to be, because basically every floor is, we expect you to come into this at about level 30, this will be an enemy that you can definitely defeat at your current level, but will get you loads of experience because it's just that much above you. We know how much experience that gained you, so we'll use that as our baseline for the next thing. And it seems purpose-built to just skyrocket your level up 15 levels in an hour.
Okay.
When the first 30 levels had taken me tens of hours.
Right.
So, I don't understand the purpose of jumping the level requirement up by 15 levels only to be here's a room that will give you those 15 levels really quick.
I guess it's that way of doing the Squeenix thing of, now it's time for the boss.
I mean, maybe. I feel like maybe it's to do with, we ran out of ways to make the enemies feel interesting at this level scaling, or we want to... I feel like part of it might be, I unlocked a bunch of new moves doing that, and they're like, look, we want to start giving you enemies that require a new variety of things. Fuck it. Let's just jump you up a bunch and give you a bunch of new stuff so that you can feel really cool and powerful.
Okay.
It's almost got the feel of a time skip in an anime, where you go off and do the training arc and suddenly come back.
Montage.
This building felt like the training montage. And viewing it that way, I don't hate it. I don't hate this is the training montage tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I continue to be having a really fun time with that game. It is one of my favorite games I've played in last year.
I'm glad.
It is. I'm just continuing to push along with it. I'm on chapter 12 of 15. I feel like chapter 12 is not going to be much longer, so I feel like I'm real near the end of that now. I'm really getting there.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I played the sad cold game.
Oh, Frostpunk.
Frostpunk, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Everyone, it's getting really cold. Let's go further north.
Yeah, that was a weird choice.
Yeah. It'll be
equatorial, surely.
Yeah, it'll be less cold in the Arctic Circle.
I mean, that's the impression I got.
So, from watching this over your shoulder, Ice Age is coming. We need to build a city.
Ice Age is here.
Yeah.
A superstorm is coming. Let's build a city.
Okay.
The superstorm isn't super well foreshadowed, I'll be honest, as someone who was playing the game for the first time. So I had my initial go of, oh dear, I've run out of everything really, really early. But I think I understand the mechanics now.
Yeah.
Then I had my dive in again, try everything on easy. I played start to finish in about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I basically ran out of coal day 3 or day 2 or 3 into the superstorm.
Oops.
And my people just went, we're not going to kill you because the death penalty is cruel. You are ejected from the city. You must wander the wastes. In minus 120 degree weather.
That's death. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it is a fascinating game about just what would happen if the world turned to ice.
Yeah.
And the only way to survive was to try and, keep this huge generator thing running on coal.
Yeah.
Maybe if we develop enough greenhouse gases, the world will warm back up again. But yeah, it is this struggle of, okay, we've got only so many people, important resource. All those people constantly need to be kept warm. Then we have, we need to keep preparing food for them. But if it gets too cold, there is a point right just before the superstorm where you can't produce food at all because it's too cold for the hothouses. So it's okay, so I should have been stockpiling food from day one.
Yeah.
I should have had stockpiles built around the city, from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's something I really should have thought about. And only now understand. I have started playing through again.
Yeah.
And it's okay, so the tents go as near to the generator as possible. There will be a gap to one side of the generator where I'm going to build a hothouse so that we can keep growing food for longer. We're going to move on to, getting coal mines and steel mines and, as much wood as we can for as long as possible. We're going to get stockpiling everything as quickly as possible. You will be living on soup from day one. The second I have the ability to make soup, you're all living on it. Because I cannot afford to have you lot just yupping up food.
Yeah.
There will be some degree of child labour. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was my first one on my first game. I was nope, no child labour. That's I'm not doing that. That's morally reprehensible. Okay, now you have to build houses for all the children to live in, because they can't do anything, and the adults can't look after them because they have to go to work. So there has to be a child place. So you've completely lost an entire resource that could be out foraging, just gently foraging. Yeah, there are a lot of hard choices to make in that game.
Yep.
The one that really bothered me was you have the first section of the game, which is very much how are we just going to stay alive in this moment, and then the second half is things are really bad. We're all really upset and scared because they find out that this other city's been completely wiped out. Some of us are going to try and leave and try and encourage other people to leave. But also, you now have to make a choice of, do I rally the people through religion or policing?
Neither of these is
I
ideal
don't
choices.
want to do either of these things. But I will be damned if I'm putting religion in this game.
Yep.
So I had okay, there is a watch. They're not the police. There's a watch, and they basically go out. They make sure people are okay, and if the watch have harassed anyone, they're in trouble. I was very sure about all of that.
Yeah.
Like, the watch are there to keep people safe. They're not becoming fascist bully boys. And it's like, do you want a prison? No, I don't want to. I don't want to build a prison. This person did something really bad. Did they? Because you later admitted that you caught them while trying to chase someone else. You believe they were involved, but they're not actually the person that killed someone. So, no, I'm not going to put them in prison. Eventually, the population just kicked them to death in the street. Because we'd had to release them because I was like, not building a prison, and this person isn't the person that killed them, so I'm not executing them either, and I'm not putting them out into the cold. Because they'll die anyway, so there might as well be an execution.
Yeah.
Call it what you like. And they were like, do you want to build a Ministry of Propaganda? Fuck no. No, I do not.
The least you thing that has ever existed.
Yeah. This was me already going, I'm not putting fucking religion in this game. So yeah, my authoritarian rule was as unauthoritarian as it could possibly be. I was looking at some of the things further down. It's like, like some of the things past Ministry of Propaganda were quite good.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not doing that to my people. And then they killed me.
Oops.
So yeah, that's a fascinating game. Bleak, really bleak.
Love it.
But like just something fascinating, and I do not, because I first heard about Frostpunk because there was a Kickstarter for a Frostpunk board game.
Yes.
And I do not understand how that works as a board game.
Nope.
Like, I mean, thinking back to it now, it really just feels like an excuse for miniatures upon miniatures.
Yeah.
Look, we built the generator. It's a giant generator that you can put in the middle of the map, and then you do things. And then there's all these other buildings that you can put around. It's like, this feels like another Kickstarter excuse for minis.
Yeah.
Stop it. What have you played?
We played a thing together with Jim and Conrad on
We
stream.
did. We played some Pummel Party.
Yeah! I think we can summarise Pummel Party real quick. It's Mario Party, but on Steam for £6 with online multiplayer.
Yeah.
And guns.
It's got elements of Humans Fall Flat
Yeah.
and Mario Party.
The minigames are a little frantic in places.
The first one.
That first one was chaos.
Yes.
But like in a fun kind of way.
I was just hitting the attack button and running in circles.
The game has a lot of good variety of its minigames. Like, there was a third-person shooter with shotguns for one of them. One of them was like a Fall Guys...
One-shot shotguns.
Yep. There was one that was like a Fall Guys-esque jump across the platforms on the ice, try and get to the end of an obstacle course.
There was the one where the platforms were disappearing until the lamps flared up.
Yep. We were trying to build big stacks of blocks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a good variety of them.
There are, like, 43 games, I think, in that.
And there was enough in there that, like, we played a 25-round game that took us about 2 hours and didn't see any repeats on that. Nope. Which is good.
Yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it. I do remember, like, because you'd invited me to be on the stream and Jim had sent me a copy of the game, and I was looking at it just going, yeah, just looking at the character setup here, I can see how this is Jim's game. There's a gas mask and a steam cleaner style welding mask and a Jason hockey mask and a scarecrow hat.
Yeah. I will say, as much as it was basically Mario Party, it had a few mechanics of its own that were interesting. Yeah. You're collecting keys to unlock chests to get chalices rather than getting coins to get stars. But, like, you've also got a health meter.
Yep.
So certain steps, rather than like where Mario Party would be like you lost a couple of coins, you'll lose stuff off your health meter sometimes.
Yep.
And if your health meter reaches 0, you drop a huge amount of your resources. Half seems about right. And the next player who walks over that spot just gets to take all your stuff.
Yep.
And you can't go backwards to go get your stuff. You'd have to do a whole loop of the map to get it.
I think you start back at the beginning of the map.
Yeah, there was a labyrinth that had a gun on a very specific spot if you could get to it. We didn't manage to get that.
Well, that's the other thing. We played one map. There's like 7 maps in this.
Yeah, It's got a little bit of indie jank to it.
A little bit.
But like
It never crashed or like clipped too much. So
the first time we tried to play it, Jim couldn't make the buttons work.
I suspect that was an issue of trying to work out the controls more than
I think
anything
that
else.
might well have been the case. But
Because we did have a similar issue later on that we did manage to get past.
yes, occasionally it's not very clear what buttons you have to do what. Like if you enter the map without paying attention, it doesn't tell you what button gets the map to go away, for
No.
example. Like there's little polish things like that. But
Yeah.
for £6,
Yeah.
Mario Party with online multiplayer, which
Yeah.
is like the major feature that was missing out of the most recent Mario
And
Party.
there was 2 of us in the UK playing against 2 people in the US
Yeah.
without any lag
Any
issues. So
noticeable
the
lag
netcode on
issues.
that,
Yeah.
good for a £6 game.
If you want to play Mario Party with your friends during lockdown and can't see each other, this is a good way to do it. I recommend Pummel Party pretty well.
Yeah, and there are tips out there for how to unlock all the cool capes.
Oh yeah, if you want to unlock all the cool capes, single player 1 round game. Whoever wins the most mini games gets a bunch
8
of
goblets.
eight bonus goblets.
Yeah, and I think the most expensive one of the capes is the wireframe one, which I think is 15 goblets.
Yeah, so you can get the unlocks pretty quick if you look up guides for how to cheese the game slightly.
It's not difficult.
Then you can have a rainbow cape.
I got a rainbow cape, got the wireframe cape, got the water one, the cosmos one, which
Yeah.
looks all right in the sort of loadout screen, but when you actually look at on the map, it's like staring into space through this like portal on their back.
I recommend a Pummel Party. It was
Yeah, I had a lot of
It was
fun.
a good fun game. I want to play more of that.
I didn't mention all the items. Like, there's items you can just use on the map, like a shotgun.
Yes, there's like an eggplant bomb that you've got to sort of roll it across the map and you have a certain amount of time to try and roll it to another player. Or
A
there's
cactus suit that disguises you and also stops you from taking
Yeah,
aim and damage.
there's spots that you can make a pact with some kind of Grim
Death.
Reaper who will take either health or keys from players as they walk past.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool mechanics.
There's a lot going on in that game.
They've got the Mario Kart style ride the rocket to progress yourself further along the track.
That'll take you 10 steps further,
And
and
it'll
you get to roll the dice afterwards.
And it'll skewer anyone who you touch along the way and steal a bunch of their keys.
And a bunch of their health.
Yeah, the item selection was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Very broad.
Yeah. We must defeat Conrad, though.
We must defeat Conrad.
Mm.
We'll stream it again at some point, I'm sure.
Revenge!
We also played some VR games.
We did.
Yeah, do you want to tell us about some VR games we played?
Played some more Beat Saber.
That continues to be fun.
Yeah. I think there's new tunes in that.
There's
from
some
when we
new
last
tunes
played.
since we last played.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed that one techno track that was like 6 minutes long.
That was long.
It was long. It was intense. It was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having heart rate problems again, so I had to be, like, taking it fairly gently, but
Yeah.
played Rum and Bass on hard again.
Rum and bass.
Love Rum and Bass.
I love that one techno one because there's a section in it where you're doing like mirrored things with both hands at the same time to a
Yes.
slower beat. It feels very powerful to be like ba 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 ba.
Yeah, you get that bit with Rum and Bass as well, because you've got, like, one going up, one going down. It's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, like, do the swim.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun little game.
It continues to be a fun little game.
It is, yeah, we had a bit of trouble loading up the quest because we hadn't used or updated it in about
Yeah,
8
we had
months.
to like factory reset it because it couldn't work out how to do system updates because we hadn't done one in so
I
long.
can't update 8 updates at once. It's
Yeah.
too much.
We did another Fight the Music in VR
We
game.
played some Audio Shield.
Yeah, Audio Shield, which is Beat Saber, but if you had shields on your fists and the notes were asteroids and you could put your own music in.
Yes.
How did you get on with Audio
It
Shield?
reminded me once again that it's never a good idea to put heavy hardcore in rhythm action games.
Hell yeah, it is. You seem to be having a great time.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm trying to remember what else we put in there.
I know I put some My Chemical Romance in there.
We put some
of
drum
course
and
I
bass
did.
in there.
Some
Oh, I
drag-
put Portishead Roads in there, which was really calming.
Yeah. It's Audio Shield was like the first one of these that came out in VR, the first like VR music rhythm game, and it's lacking a little bit of the polish of something like Beat Saber. It's less immediately satisfying as having, your lightsabers, but it's a fun spin, and I like how easy it is to just chuck your own songs on.
It also feels like it's got more ability to have difficulty levels.
Yes.
Whereas when you import tracks into Beat Saber, very often that they are already at a ridiculous level.
Yes, because Beat Saber, the custom tracks are typically created by players, and players will create ridiculous beat tracks for them.
Yeah.
Whereas Audio Shield generally generates its own tracks in real time, and there was a track you were playing that had like a very like gentle bit that it didn't know what to do with.
Yeah, so because Rhodes has the Rhodes piano in it, slightly I think it's like a slightly syncopated, so sometimes it'll just do a little hesitate before the next beat.
Yeah, and the game doesn't always know how to handle that well.
It does this really weird thing where things come towards you really slowly, pause, and then just fly at you.
Yes. But I think, overall, I think that Audio Shield did a really good job of generating tracks in real time. I think, most tracks it did real good at. Yeah, I think I'm always hesitant about games that auto-generate tracks based on pieces of music in real time. There's a racing game I remember from a few years ago.
Audio Surf.
Yeah, Audio Surf.
That's great.
Audio Surf was sometimes great.
Again, don't play happy hardcore on it.
Yeah, but if you pick something with a good, solid, understandable beat, it creates real good tracks out of it.
Rock music's usually great on those things.
No. Absolutely great in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the ones where you have the big string of notes together and you've got to do the very big curved punch around to get them. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
What else did we play?
Played some Pistol Whip.
Yeah.
Made me feel very ill.
Yes, it is a light gun shooter in VR set to music.
Yes.
Is the best way I can describe
Not great music, I'll be honest. None of that music was to my taste. I spent the first 10 minutes just going, okay, what's this tune like? What's this tune like? What's this tune like? What's this tune?
It's got a little bit of what if what's the game with slow motion everything
Super Hot.
What if Super Hot wasn't slow motion and was on rails?
Yeah, what if it was on rails, you're walking along and sometimes things will have multiple health points?
Yeah, if things shoot at you, the bullets are slow enough you have time to sort of dodge around them. Mm-hmm. I found it satisfying enough, doing the I'm looking at a thing and shooting and reliably hitting it a decent amount of the time, etc. You pointed out, and you are totally correct, if you're not looking where your gun is, you can't shoot there.
Yep.
Which
As
sucks.
opposed to Super Hot.
Yeah, Super Hot or Space Pirate Trainer. That's one of my favourite things about shooters in VR, is being able to point your gun at something and go, I'm going to shoot that, but I'm not going to watch the bullet fly. I'm looking away to look at my next thing I'm going to shoot. I'm looking around at other
I'm lining
shits.
up my next shot.
Yeah.
I've just lined that one up. It's perfect.
Yes.
Oh no, you won't even pull the trigger. Thanks.
Yeah, which is honestly my biggest complaint about this game, is not being able to shoot while your gun is off screen.
Yep. That threw me a few times.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things about VR, being able to move your head and your aiming reticle independently is super cool.
Don't get me wrong, I loved the aiming and shooting and moving. I was fine up until it started making me duck. There's a couple of things where there were low ceilings. You don't, because it's on rails, you don't stop moving. And it's okay, I need to duck. And I'm looking down slightly, and all of a sudden I've got all this movement in front of me and my body's going, nah.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I didn't come across that because I wasn't looking down. Different level, didn't look down. Mm-hmm. But I can see why it would cause issues. Yeah. Do you play anything else in VR you want to?
Effect.
Yeah, Tetris Effect. It's Tetris Effect.
It's
Tetris Effect's great.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, after a game of Pistol Whip, I was really struggling even an hour later to do anything in VR.
That's the thing with VR motion sickness. When it happens, it takes a while to go away.
It fucks you for hours.
Yes. It's more so than any other kind of video game motion sickness. VR motion sickness will fuck you up.
It's very special.
Yeah. The last time I remember that was that game Golem that you helped me go through for review for Polygon.
4 hours we fought through that. I
Yeah.
was sick for so long.
Oh god, same. That game fundamentally unplayable.
We were both like, "You're getting paid for this." I was like, "It's okay. I'll take over for this little bit."
Well, it was one of those like
It's okay. I'm like pissing sweat, feeling really.
I had to play enough of it that I could describe what was in there, because otherwise my review would have been 2 sentences. Got sick, couldn't play. I needed to be able to write at least 500 words to be
Yeah.
like, I wrote something.
I think you managed more than 500
Yeah.
words, but like, it was a slog. Like, even
Yeah.
going back and forth between us, just like.
My
It's-
golden review is the thing I point people to when people are like, oh, it must be so fun reviewing video games. I'm like,
Nope.
read this, and tell me that my job is always fun.
Because it's not.
No, sometimes you've got to review some real garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's everything I've played this week.
I played some Digital Root.
Ah, it's that board game, but in digital form.
It's the lovely board game of Woodland Might and Right.
The 2D art translates really nicely into the video
It
game.
really does. They've done a lovely sort of cartoony style for all of the characters. It's nice to see that style. Sometimes you'll get a close up on something, and the cool outline effect won't quite like fit properly against the character. But generally, it looks really cute. And I have enjoyed that, and I slightly understand the game better for playing it that way.
Cool.
Although the tutorial isn't super helpful if you already know the game, because it changes the rules slightly. It's like, no wait, it does this thing, and the tutorial's like, no, we're going to do it this way. And then you get to your first like, hey, you've learnt that and that. Do you want to try a little test game out with those 2 factions? Sure. It's like, oh, now you're saying that I can do the thing. Thanks. For baffling me. And we've never played with the Vagabond, so
Yeah.
I have now had at least a demo with the Vagabond.
Nice.
So I can see how that works now.
Yeah.
That's a fun little character. Yeah, I've played other things as well.
It's a long one this week. You're gonna have to stop and refill drinks after
I
the
really
game
am.
the played section.
I think the last thing I played is oh no, there's 2 things. I played Horizon Chase Turbo.
This is that driving game with
It's the one that looks a bit like is it Chase HQ? Or
Yeah.
one of those classic sort of scalar games from the like.
You're constantly
90s.
driving into the sunset.
Constantly driving into the sunset. Your road rashes, your Chase HQs, your Outrun.
Outrun is, I think, the example most people will know.
Probably. I think they're all that sort of thing. But yeah. It's all right. It's clearly it's designed to look like something, but I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's an actual 3D environment that they've just like textured in such a way that it looks like that.
It looks like scaling 2D sprites when it's actually 3D
I
objects.
suspect that is the case.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, although like the turning in the game is really weird. They're like, you're coming up on a really hard bend, and it will start turning for you.
Huh.
It's like, oh, okay. And then you'll, like you can let off the turn, like, fairly easily at the end of it and not drift to one side most of the time.
Again, that's sort of how those old games were.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like some of the steering is being done for me. I'm not... this is weird. Yeah, and then... for the most part, I was enjoying it. Like, I played through the free DLC, which was the test drive. I was like, I'm not very good at driving games. I just want some arcade action. Played through that. The Africa stage has so all of the stages will have like things from the area that it is supposed to be, like lining the side of the track.
Yeah.
The Africa stage just has like some tribal masks and crossed spears at the side of the track as you're driving through. Just like,
Ah.
glad I didn't pay money for that. It was in a humble bundle. There were 3 other things I wanted. I got those, and then was like, I'll give that a try. Oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh dear. And the last thing I played was another It's Cold, Let's Make Things Warm game. I played through Little Inferno again.
Little Inferno just for me.
Yeah, and I kept the hug token all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So I got my hug
Yeah. That I come back to that game every couple of years and just play through it because it's not super long, it's not super taxing.
It's not really a game, it's more of a tool, just like sandbox.
It's an enjoyable thing to play around with for a bit.
Especially if you were a pyromaniac as a child.
Man
things. Making napalm on the back step as a kid. I was not supervised very often.
Oops.
Oopsie doodle. Yeah, so that was a fun couple
For anyone who's never played it, it is a game about buying things from catalogues and burning them in fires, and if you burn certain things together, you'll get little achievement-y combos, and
there are 99 combos to find.
And you'll get more money to buy more things and burn more things, and then a story happens.
Yeah, there's this whole story about your next door neighbour, and she wants to send you things, and she sends you little poems and pictures and stuff, and then sometime during the game, she just burns her house down.
Yep, hey kids, everything's cold outside, so get all your toys and burn them in a fireplace to keep warm. It's little inferno, little inferno just for me.
Moral Corp.
Gosh, it is my favourite game that that company has made. Tomorrow Corp, yeah. I like the ideas of their other games, but ones like Human Resource Machine, my brain just doesn't compute for that.
I really wanted to play Human Resource Machine,
yeah,
but I am bad at that.
I'm bad at program logic.
I mean, I got it because I thought it might help me finally understand programming logic, but then someone was like, yeah, that's not really how programming works.
No,
I was like, oh, okay. I'll go back to scratch, and then I never went back to scratch either.
It'll help you with logic systems and thinking through long strings of cause and effect a little bit, but
yeah,
no thank.
No thank. Not for me, please.
Well, I think that's everything we've played this week.
We've played.
Well then,
time to have a quick break and go.
Time to have a quick drink and get a drink break.
Drink break. Oh. Look at that! That's that over. It's all over.
What? Sorry?
Year's over, innit?
Well, I mean, yeah, the year is over. We've reached 2021. Yeah. Numbers gone up.
Got through it. Numbers gone up. Smooth sailing now, innit?
Well, I mean, things are still going to be rough for a while.
New year. New year, new me.
Yeah, new year, new you. I can't help but notice you're not wearing your mask.
Yeah, it's 2021 now. That was last year.
I mean, the germs haven't stopped existing. The virus is still a thing.
This is 2021.
Yes, but...
New year.
I mean, things will hopefully move in a better direction. A lot of people met each other over Christmas, and now a lot of people are ill.
I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but they all did, and that means the germs are a lot out there.
New Year. Goods. Cake?
No, I probably shouldn't. I'm keeping the mask on. Are you only paying attention to the fact the number's gone up?
Numbers gone up. Yeah.
Okay, well let me divert your attention to this graph over here. This number has also gone up.
That's not a graph, that's an up line.
Yes, it is.
This is a public service announcement brought to you on behalf of Announcements for the Public. Today's announcement: don't patronize children.
Just because a concept is complex doesn't mean that they cannot be trusted to understand and process it.
Indeed, sometimes it is important to teach children about things that are complex, and very often they will understand more of it than you might expect. So, do not underestimate them.
If you do not teach them complex subjects, they do not have an opportunity to ask questions and to learn.
Indeed, and surely we should all have a position to ask questions and to learn and to grow from a young age. Don't think that you are protecting them from the harshnesses of reality, when they are in fact going to have to live within reality. So remember, don't patronize children. This has been a public service announcement. So, what have you put in your eye meats?
We watched some things together over the holidays.
Things were watched?
Yeah, things we watched. We watched the only thing on Disney Plus that I have any interest in watching, Pixar's Sparkshorts.
They were good.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up a list because I want to remember what they all were.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time off. So this is basically Pixar making little 10-minute short films that are often a bit more adult in tone than the sort of family films they often do. So we watched through all of these. There's a good batch of them. They're all very different to each other. There was Pearl, which was the knitting one.
Yes.
Of the ball of wool who goes to work in the business office and
business.
Yeah, feels like she has to reshape herself to fit in, and then sees someone else join the company and is like, oh, it'd be good if the workplace accommodated us and not us having to fit into them.
It's a weird one. Like, I didn't really know how to feel about it. It's like, it's basically someone who is coming to a very male-oriented business.
Yeah.
Which has got this very much an old boys club. They then completely reinvented themselves to fit in with that whole environment. But as soon as somebody else who was like she had been was like, you know, actually, I'm gonna bring you in as you are, rather than you having to become me.
I think a big part of it is you see early on she's very much like she's made to feel terrible and lesser for not being part of the old boys club, and she sees that moment of, oh god, am I about to be that to someone else? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you shouldn't have to be.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the whole environment becomes less toxic as a result.
Yeah. There's one called what? I don't remember what this one was by name.
Is that the one about the
grab?
Yeah.
Oh yes, overworked robots that were sort of tethered to a big train.
Oh.
They were just like putting coal in the train to keep it going.
Nothing to lose but your tether.
Yeah. It was very much a rise up against your oppressors and escape and try and seek out a better life, but with robots.
Yes, and there was the whole class system of, we are the robots who are tethered to the thing, but if we look up into the skies, we can see a whole society of upper class.
Yeah, they have their own power sources rather than tethers. If we had those, we could go be like that. We wouldn't have to be chained down here in the lower castes of society.
And as soon as they tried to escape, they were shot by the police.
I mean, basically, the cops do not want you escaping your station in life, and your real work for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kitbull was really adorable. The kitten and the pitbull they made. It had a very different art style. It was like a 2D animated, very sort of scruffy lines.
It was still 3D, but yes.
It looked 2D.
Yeah,
in a lot of
it
places.
had a slightly flatter look in places, but it was it was very sad.
Yeah, it was
like, I don't like dogs, but one thing I hate worse than that is like people who abuse animals.
Yeah, this won me over to being like, I'm rooting for you, dog.
Yes.
Just little scared kitten and little beaten dog making friends and trying to escape together and be bestest friends.
It was as soon as I saw the stuffy, I was like, oh god, they're training that dog to fight.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Content warning for anyone though, because there is a scene where the dog gets quite badly injured.
It's intense. Float was the one that got me. The one with the kid.
That made me cry.
Yeah, that one made me cry the first.
Most of these made me cry. That's sad.
So Float is about a little kid who, when he gets happy, he just starts floating off the ground, and it's harmless, but his dad...
It's different.
Yeah, he's different, and people look at him weird, and it definitely seems like it's an analogue for neurodiversity of some kind.
I got that impression,
It's the my harmless but acts different disabled child.
It's the why can't you be normal line at the end that
ruined
me.
There's only one line of dialogue in the whole 10-minute thing.
Really?
Yeah, it is only one line of dialogue.
Well, there's just laughter at the rest of the time.
Yeah, the rest of it, you've got laughter. It's 10 minutes of this dad trying to weigh this kid down, trying to shave off everything that makes him special, weigh him down, rocks in his bag, cover him up, and yeah, the only spoken line is him turning around to this kid in frustration and just screaming, "Why can't you be normal?" And it's a lot.
Got me again.
Yeah, I'm welling up too. But like, I like how it ended. The sort of dad's turnaround of, oh shit, I'm erasing everything beautiful about my kid.
And then he goes on the swing.
Yeah, he goes on the
and
swing.
The kid does a float.
Yeah, the kid does a float, and he starts encouraging what the differences that make his kid unique, rather than trying to pretend they don't exist.
Yeah.
Wind. Oh, Wind got me as well. This was the grandmother and the grandchild.
Yes.
Um,
some questions I have about the physics of this
yes,
particular universe.
they're in some kind of big hole with weird gravity, and basically they're trying to build a spaceship to escape up to the surface, and I called it right at the start that it was gonna be a bit Bing Bong from Inside Out in the memory pit. But like the execution of it was very powerful.
Yeah.
It was very beautifully done.
Yeah, it was a beautiful story. The whole thing about building building the ship and what designs they were going to come up with, and how like the kid was constantly like, but we'll get you in here too, Granny.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think Loop might have been one of my favourite ones we saw, which is the one about the non-verbal autistic girl.
That was very sweet.
Yeah. Props to Pixar for making an actual thing about a non-verbal autistic person that shows their forms of communicating, and the fact that, hey, just because you're non-verbal doesn't mean you can't communicate your wants and needs.
Yes.
Really, it was quite a lot to watch that one.
Yes.
It did a lot with showing, like, basically non-verbal autistic girl and very chatty boy at a summer camp or something reluctantly paired together in a canoe.
I think they kind of want to say got away with things that they wouldn't have done otherwise if the other character had been an adult.
Yes.
I think the idea that they could have like a slightly frustrated, I don't want to be here kid is like, why did I get stuck looking after someone else?
Yeah.
And not related by blood as well.
Yes, but it was really lovely that they took time to do things like showing that she really liked the sensation of going back and forth through the reeds, and I think they did a pretty tasteful job with the overstimulated sensory stuff.
Yes, with the whole thing with the tunnel and the boat motor from outside.
Yes, and it was really nice to see them find a rhythm to communicate by the end that didn't involve words.
Yeah, that whole thing at the end of hiding under the boat and just him being like, wait, I do have a way to communicate with you.
Yeah. And one thing I really like that they touched on that is that they didn't overlook the fact that just because someone's non-verbal doesn't mean that
they have nothing to say.
Well, more so even than that. They didn't gloss over the fact she can understand verbal spoken text.
Yes.
She understands what people are saying, she just doesn't talk herself. And that is so often a misconception or misattribution when talking about non-verbal people.
And very often you can't even tell that that's what the story is being told.
Yeah.
Because they come off as it's a story about a deaf person.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Exactly. It's, she can hear, she just doesn't talk with words.
She doesn't talk with words, and you're not always part of her world. You need to wait until she notices you.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So, Loop was really beautiful. Loop was the one that I wanted to watch this collection for, because I'd heard a lot about it and hadn't seen it.
I was scared when she dropped her phone in the water.
Yeah. There was Out, which was the gay coming out one.
Oof.
The gay body swap.
The gay body swap with the dog.
Yes.
That was another one that had that real crushing moment right at the beginning. It's like, oh, they're such a sweet couple. Oh, you're not out and you're just hiding your partner.
Oh, yeah, because it starts with I worry their homophobic parents are coming. My loving partner, can you just pretend not to be here while my parents are here? That's real fucking shitty.
Yes.
I don't want my parents to know you exist.
Yes.
But...
And then there's the whole body swap thing and the weirdness with mum and dog. And then just, like, mum having a conversation that appears to very much be about one thing or two things at once.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of making that conversation about both things it needed to be about.
Yes. Although sometimes it really felt like it was skewing one way or the other.
Well, I think that's often how those are done in stories. Look, I'm pretending I'm talking about this, but I'm clearly talking about this, and and then Burrow was, I think, the last one.
Oh,
yeah.
We didn't watch it last. We were going through, just going, you pick one. No, now you pick one. Now you pick one. I was like, I picked Burrow because it had a bunny on it.
Yeah.
And about 2 minutes into that, I was like, I've retracted my choice. It's too much.
It was really lovely by the end. This one was 2D animated, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Was it not?
No, I think they're all 3D animated, but some of them just look flatter than others.
This looked very 2D style.
I think it helps that it is largely 1 point perspective, so it is always, here is the underground. You will have the burr pop into a location or fall into a location, and it's this. But so basically, the story is a rabbit is. I have a design for a home, and I am going to live here.
It's my little simple house I would like to make.
Yes, and there will be a bed and a cool disco bed. There was something like fairly.
Yeah, it was a fairly small list of wants, but it was like, this is my place.
Yeah. And there was no space underground because all of the Aminals live underground.
Indeed, and trying to find where's my space for me to have a little house.
And the big scary growly door.
The big scary growly door. Oh, these were all really beautiful.
Yes.
The fact that we've both welled up while just discussing them should tell you everything you need to know. They're really well made, they're really beautiful, they're very powerful little short stories.
Yes.
It reminded me a lot of watching through Love, Death and Robots on Netflix. I want more collections and anthologies of short story films.
Short stories made for less money.
Yeah.
That are less good. Well, not even as good. But not forced to. By people who are paid properly.
Yeah. I like little anthologies of short films, and apparently there's more Sparkshorts being developed in the future, so apparently about a year ago they announced that they're making more of them, so at some point there might be more. They're well worth watching if you've got access to them. Yeah. What else?
Should we talk about another... Was it Pixar? I think it's a Pixar movie.
Yeah, Disney
Soul.
Pixar. We watched Soul, the new Disney Pixar film.
Yeah.
How do you want to explain Soul?
Okay, so there is a man who has a dream of music, and he is an incredible jazz pianist. And whoever actually plays the music in this does an amazing job.
Very good job of, like, subtlety on the keys.
Yeah, like, I am not a huge fan of jazz, but I don't know if it's just the fact that I've been learning music theory in the last year, that I very much appreciated that a lot more.
Yay!
But it was also very good music. I think... Because is this the one with two musical artists and one of them's Trent Reznor?
Yeah, apparently, yes, one of them's Trent Reznor.
So I think one of them is the jazz musician and the other one is Trent Reznor. So that was an interesting thing to find out later. He is a teacher and he's not super pleased about that, but it pays the bills. And he has a couple of really talented students who really care about music. Yeah,
in a class of people who don't necessarily care about the thing. But he's very passionate about, like, people getting lost in the music.
Yeah.
And his dream is to play stages. He wants, like, that sort of... He wants his 15 minutes of fame playing music.
He saw a musician with his father as a child, his late father. And that was a very formative moment in his interest in music. And, oh, Jesus. I'm still crying about Barrow. There you go.
Okay, so he's been offered, like, a permanent job as a teacher, and he's like, I don't want to do that permanently, I don't think. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do forever. And then he gets his offer of the big break. It's going to be the gig that you've been waiting for. And then he dies. He promptly walks out of his appointment to get that dream gig, and falls down a manhole cover, and he is dead.
And then we do the thing that happens a lot in movies that have a main black character He becomes a squishy blob, and later a cat.
Yes, it's the thing that happens particularly in CGI animated kids' films with black lead characters.
Because we know white people are just too fragile.
They transform for about the middle third of the film into something that is not a black human. So, you got the Princess and the Frog, she becomes a frog.
I haven't seen that.
You've got the one that's got Spider-Man boy plays a nerdy kid, and the black lead transforms into a pigeon. It's a spy film that came out last year.
Haven't seen it.
I completely forget what the film's called.
I didn't even know this was a trope, but you mentioned a bunch of films that I've just never seen before. But I have since learned that this is a big problem.
I need to find the name of that film now. It's going to annoy me. Will Smith transforms into a pigeon. Spies in Disguise. He spends most of the film as a pigeon rather than a black man. This film does that. The middle third of the film is, he is a squishy soul blob. He's meant to go to the afterlife. He doesn't want to go to the afterlife.
It's adorable.
Yeah, it's adorable. He would rather go back to being alive so he can go do his big show that's going to make everything feel better and life will be worth it. And then we also spend a good chunk of the film with a white woman in his body. Yeah, Tina Fey running around in his body.
Yeah.
But like those points aside,
that third of the movie aside,
I mean not even that third of the film aside, because there is good stuff in that film with
there's
those
some
caveats.
beautiful moments in that.
It feels
the fact that they put his voice back in for the conversation he has with his mother.
Yeah. What I really liked about this film is more than any other Pixar film, it felt made primarily for adults with kids as the secondary audience, as opposed to usually a bit of a reverse on that in Pixar.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting conversations about, like, what does it mean to be alive? What is the purpose of being alive? What is the thing that you aim for?
What is your driving goal?
What is your driving goal? There are some really interesting conversations about, like, following your dreams versus paying the bills is a big thing. That whole conversation he has with his mum hit real hard home for me, personally.
There's also the conversation he has with the jazz singer. Is it Viola?
Yeah.
And he's talking about, like, how the first night on stage he thought it was going to be this huge thing.
Yeah.
And she tells this allegory about a fish in the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm looking for the ocean. You're in the ocean. Nah, this is just water.
Yeah, it's that whole, you think a thing's going to be the thing that changes everything, and it's like, no, it just is more of what it is.
It's more of the thing you already do, but more people are looking.
Yeah. As someone that has had a creative career the last X number of years, there was a lot of relatable stuff in this.
I mean, and me who's barely starting a creative career, like, there are moments of, it's just the thing I do, but sometimes people pay attention to it.
Yeah. It focuses a lot on themes about things like appreciating the moment to moment, not rather than just chasing the goals constantly. Like, take time to enjoy where you're at now, rather than just thinking, but it'll be better when I get to this.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very thoughtful film.
Yeah, enjoy the journey without constantly feeling like you have to be getting.
You've got to be chasing the milestones.
Yeah.
I say as I go back to, right, what are my milestones for 2021?
And I helped.
Yeah. Mwah. Soul, real good film with some caveats about the magical transformation of black people in kids' films.
There is a great thread on Twitter of reviews of Soul by black reviewers.
Yeah.
Which, if you are a white person going into this, is worth considering.
I did not read those before watching the film, but have done afterwards, and I feel better informed for having done so.
Did we watch it on release day or something? Because it was weird. We watched it, and literally the next day there were things about Soul fucking
We
everywhere.
accidentally watched it the day after it released.
Oh, okay. Wasn't aware of that, because I'd heard about it.
Yeah.
And obviously this is the year
I didn't realise
release dates mean fucking nothing.
Yeah, I didn't realise it came out on UDP.
Yeah, we watched it in a case of...
I think we watched it on the evening of Boxing Day.
It's a
It all
blur
blurs
of recreational cheeses and board games. Yeah, it's a great film. It's got some lovely music in it. There is some lovely moments. I'm not sure they needed to cast Tina Fey in that role.
No. I
especially if you're going to take over a black man's body.
I feel like it would have gone a huge amount of the way if they just cast a black woman in that role.
I think it certainly would have helped, but then you would have had 2 black people being forced to be squishy blobs for a third of the
Indeed,
film.
but at least when the body was back in play, it would have been another black person in the body.
There is that.
It would have been one fewer thing
one
going
fewer
on.
problematic
One fewer weird thing going on.
But yeah, and I, as I said, I did quite like the design of the soul blobs.
Yeah, they
There's
were
this
adorable.
weird sort of chromatic aberration thing around the edge of them that I just found really interesting
Yeah.
from a design point.
I liked the 2D sort of guardian spirits that were sort of
They were
like
fascinating.
drawn with lines only. The way they interacted with the more fleshed out 3D world space was really interesting.
Yes, and Richard Ayoade again.
Richard Ayoade's
Doing a
in
lot of
fucking
voice work.
everything.
Probably likes the fact that he doesn't have to interact with people. I
mean,
just
that's-
go in a voice booth, I record my lines, and then I leave.
We also watched The Mandalorian season 2.
We did. There's something I won't cry about.
Yeah, The Mandalorian season 2. Very fun. Good little adventure.
First of all the caveats about that film. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
yeah.
know all the bad things relate to the people related to that film.
Yeah, there's some transphobes involved. It's shitty. It's
Don't
not
pay
great.
for it.
Yeah, don't pay for it.
Get the 30-day trial. Immediately cancel it, and don't pay for it.
I mean, there are also other ways you could not pay for it.
Wink.
Wink.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do a third season of this. They do something in this that makes me question, can you really get away with a third season? Or would a third season work? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like they've set up for it.
They've set up for it. They clearly want to do one. I just can't picture what season 3 looks like.
It's Starbuck versus the man
Yeah,
who is also a car.
Starbuck's in it.
It's got
Starbuck from Battlestar.
I can't remember what her name is. Yeah,
Starbuck.
Starbuck.
Yeah,
Gareth
Starbuck
Race.
from Battlestar. Gareth Race. I felt I really
Katie
liked.
Sackhoff.
Yes, I really liked the conclusion. I liked how they wrapped up season 2. I thought that the sort of twists in that last episode or so and some of the unexpected reveals were like, oh, those are pretty cool. Thought it was funnier than I expected season 2 to be.
I mean, I found the first one kind of funny.
Yeah,
It had its moments.
season 2 had some good laughs, a lot of which revolved around the child trying to eat things that should really not be eaten.
Grogu.
Grogu, don't eat those eggs!
Stop eating the babies!
Stop eating the babies!
Stop it.
Grogu has a hunger for infants.
Tasty babies.
Grogu wants to eat babies all the time.
Always the babies.
Always the babies. Om nom nom.
Tasty babies.
Yeah, it was a good fun action romp for some time again. There's some fan servicey stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, it feels like they're slowly drip feeding the extended universe stuff into that show.
Like we got some stuff from Rebel. We got a notable character from Rebels.
Yeah, Ashoka's in there.
Yep. We had some stuff from the Thrall trilogy being hinted at.
There was a mention of Thrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know anything about that particular trilogy because by the time I'd heard about it and was like, yeah, I'd be interested in reading that, it was out of print. And then Disney took over, and it's just never going to happen.
They seem to be taking little bits from it to drop in, but I'm intrigued as to where it's going. It's got some cool stuff on the table.
I was always fascinated about who the fuck Mara Jade was, but
I doubt we're going to get that.
probably not now.
Yeah. What have you watched?
What have I watched? Let me see.
I can tell you another thing we watched together if
What's
you
another
need a
thing we
second.
watched together?
We watched More Sweet Home.
Yes, we watched a second episode of Sweet Home.
I think we've watched more than a second. We've watched like three or four now.
Yeah.
That continues to step up its horror. Little by little.
That building they're in is not as safe as it seemed.
No, it is not. I'm liking. We're starting to get to the point where the people who have to band together to survive are starting to get selfish.
Yes.
And that's getting interesting. Like, obviously, watching like the person who owns the shop in the building getting a bit protective over his food and things like that.
Yes.
We're starting to see the various sort of factions and groups that exist popping up, and Yeah, it continues to be really funny and well paced and a good watch. I was trying to multitask and build Gundam while we watched an episode, and I kept being like, can't build this Gundam. There's wild shit going on the TV.
I'm trying to remember what it was I was trying to do like a few weeks back. I think it was probably playing Age of Calamity or something. It was like, oh yeah, I'll just pop this on while I watch the... Nope. Not happening. Just,
Yeah.
Because every time I thought to look down at the screen, it was like, no, some other wild shit's happening.
It does not give you the space to multitask watching it. It demands your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found anything you've watched this week?
I don't believe I watched anything. I think that was it. We watched a lot of Disney stuff. And then we watched hours and hours of Kaleidoscope videos.
We did.
On YouTube. And we watched Electric Sheep in HD.
We watched many psychedelic-y things.
Yeah. Fancied some visuals for
purposes.
Nude quiz. Well, it was nude quiz, and we wanted that sort of rave vibe of like, here's some visuals up on the thing. We've got all our disco lights and lasers and the smoke machine, so we're going for that real vibe for it. And I think we started on Psytrance, so we listened to like most of a Psytrance mix, which had some questionable mixing in it.
Yes.
And then we'll probably get onto the music. Probably now.
I think we finished what we've watched. So now then,
time for
this.
Laura, got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you want to see a doctor in your area?
I mean,
over Skype.
I was gonna say I probably should go see them, but like I don't want to leave the house. Skype, I mean, would work.
Exactly.
I'd have to go out where all the people are.
Exactly. You don't have to go and sit in a room surgery waiting room.
I'd have to go to
full
a
of
room
people coughing and sweating.
Yeah, a room of people who think they might have the Rona that I then have to sit near. I'd like to avoid that.
Yeah, well, you could sign up for a Livey. Many doctors in your area are already subscribed to a Livey.
In my area.
In your doctors in your area.
What about your area, listener? In the listener's area.
Right in the listener's area. Right up there. There's doctors.
Oh wow!
That you wouldn't believe.
Doctors everywhere.
Yeah. So basically, with a Livey, you can sign up. It's free.
I'm starting to think about this. Why do the doctors have to be in my area if it's over the internet? Why are they stressing that there's doctors in my area?
Basically, like, it's practice. So it will be someone from your practice doctor.
Okay.
The reason is that if they decide like fuck, they have to be able to say you either need to go into the surgery for like some kind of test or something, be it blood tests or blood pressure tests or something else, or they just want to feel your lumps or whatever and just go, yep, that's an okay lump, it's fine. Or they want to refer you to a hospital.
But we're on Skype, which means that, whatever terrible, horrific germs I have within me, I don't have to bring anywhere near them.
Exactly. And, you don't have to worry, they don't have to worry about your germs or your blood or any of the other nastiness.
I mean, that's probably a good idea. Healthcare workers are going through a lot right now. I should not subject them to my germs unnecessarily.
Yeah. This just in. They remember the whole thing about the postage.com?
Oh, yeah.
You send them, like, your packages, you print out the labels, and it comes with, like, some scales. Yeah, apparently you can just do your own blood tests at home now. And you'll just, like, you print out the labels yourself and you send it off to the local
cross-sponsor branding.
Yeah, cross-sponsor branding. That's pretty good, that. Yeah. So that's alivey.lol.net, and you two today can see if you can see a doctor in your area.
I'd really like to not be where the germs are.
In your area. Inside the boardroom of Electronic Actor Softworks.
Hi. So, I've been looking over the numbers over the UDP break.
Ooh, I like numbers.
Oh, I know. Numbers.
Good numbers?
Numbers are the best. Numbers are great.
Yeah.
So, I was a bit worried going into the holidays because, we released the big AAA game back in December,
Yeah.
and...
a lot of refunds on that.
Yeah, we had a lot of bugs. It did not work on some of the consoles. We had offensive content in it.
We broke some people and some consoles.
Yep. You know, there were a lot of refunds, a lot of Tugger refunds. We don't typically do refunds. I was a bit worried what the sales were going to look like.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of refunds.
Yeah, but like, look, even factoring in the refunds,
Yeah.
we've sold 13 million copies.
I like that number.
Exactly. What that tells me is we did nothing wrong, and we don't need to learn any lessons from this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I would get from this. I mean, why would
Yeah.
we examine ourselves if clearly we are we're just fine?
If we can shit out a broken piece of crap and still sell 13 million copies,
Fuck, I could have coded this.
exactly. Like, why are we even bothering? Make it more broken next time. Rush more corners. We're still gonna sell.
Wow, we can flog the interns even harder.
Ah,
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, about those things we've listened to.
Things we've listened to.
Things we have listened to.
There's one main thing I've listened to this week.
Yeah?
I listened to all of Stella Firma.
Yeah, you did. That was fun.
I'm up to date. I know what Stella Firma is now. That podcast.
All 54 episodes.
That podcast you've been trying to get me to listen to for a while. I listened to all 54 episodes of it, and now I need more of it. Inject it into my veins. I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Considering how the first season is very much, here is one single topic. We are making planets. We are building planets after being given requests, and once a week we get a meeting from the boss, and this is how things go. After season 1, that structure
collapses in a flat in a cup.
It's U-turning every couple of minutes, and I kind of love it.
Mm-hmm.
There is not time to get used to one new status quo before, oops, we're doing this now.
Who needs status quo?
Yeah. Also, the mark of a good bit of improv, I can't stop singing David's Fact Corner.
3, 7.
Doing facts to Imogen. It's a very like, I want to be doing that voice a lot of the time. It's a good voice.
It's adorable.
Saying David's Fact Corner is the only way I can get myself properly into the voice. I'm gonna go David's Fact Corner. If you want a bit of silly improv, Stella Firma is a fun time.
Yeah, and while we're talking about things we listen to and Stella Firma, they did an album.
Oh,
over
UDP.
It's Cabaret Night at the Cosmic Lounge.
I've not listened to it yet, other than like a bit of one song.
So I think they're being individually released on YouTube still slowly.
Yeah.
But they released like a whole album pack for Patreon supporters. So I've got that. There's some fun tunes in there. There's one from Harry. Harry's got a tune about being like just a guy who likes his free time.
Yeah.
There's some really good tunes. Like the music's really good. The lyrics are really good when you can read the lyric sheets. Some of them, the mix isn't great on.
Yeah.
So you can't really hear, like, it feels like the vocals haven't been mixed very well with the tunes. Like, they're either they're just slightly too quiet, or there is some other mixing issue. I've never tried to mix lyrics, so I'm sure it's difficult, but I've not really had to think about that. But, like, yeah, those tunes are not perfect in that way.
That's a shame.
It is a shame because they are fun. Like, the Imogen rap is kind of fun. Harry's one was fun. Like, Trexel obviously just cuts through fucking everything because it's Trexel's voice. David's song is a little bit creepy. It's called Little Clone Baby.
That sounds a bit unsettling.
Just Little Clone Baby. Because technically he's only like
a few weeks old. Yeah, I suppose so.
He's had quite an eventful life if you think about it that way. Also listen to a mix on YouTube on the Acid Jazz channel called The Best of Acid Jazz and Funky Grooves.
We did go through that. There was a lot of tracks in there I recognised.
Some very nice tunes. I didn't recognise most of them, but I very much enjoyed just like some good funky beats. What about you?
I listened to some new music today. I listened to some songs. I think I've listened to this one before. The name and artist sound really familiar, but I put it down anyway. I'm Not a Good Person by Pat the Bunny. Pat the Bunny. Sort of acoustic punk track. The lyrics feel very imposter syndrome-y. Lots of like, yeah, people love me, but like, I don't remember to do the things I meant to do to show that I love them, like calling them and starting conversations and ongoing relationship upkeep. And like, the more the song goes on, the more it becomes increasingly apparent the singer isn't a bad person. They're just sort of burned out and struggling, and you know when you get a bit socially overwhelmed when you're depressed and you're like, I'm not doing good at the upkeep things.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm in this picture too, and I don't like it. It's being in that state and being like, it means I'm a bad person. No, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, but it's like, I'm not doing the things I'm meant to do. Friendship, I'm a bad friend.
Aww.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, but like it's very relatable. That's I'm Not a Good Person by Pat the Bunny.
Pat the Bunny.
Many of these are songs I'm pretty sure I've heard before, but I'm talking about them this week anyway. D&D is gay, but so am I. So this tracks by Newgrounds Death Rugby.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this like last episode.
I mentioned this band last episode, different track.
Okay.
I think I definitely mentioned Newgrounds Death Rugby last week.
Okay.
Femme rock, very like recording in a garage with only a single microphone kind of energy. Just a sort of late teens, early 20s gay love story told through the medium of D&D, which is kind of cute. There's a track called 15 Minutes by Mike Kroll, which is, you know in Steven Universe when Pearl chases the motorcycle lady with the pink hair to that house party.
Vaguely.
They do speeding. The cops are chasing after them. She tries to outrun the cops.
I remember Mystery Woman. I don't remember most of the rest of the episode.
So the end of that episode, Mystery Woman has them turning up at a house party, and this is the track that's playing at the house party. So it's a punk track. The lyrics are kind of wild. The singer is a man singing about. He's getting really snippy, going, "Hey, look. If I told you the world was going to end in 15 minutes, would you spend that last 15 minutes with me, or would you spend it with your friends? I bet you'd spend it with your friends. I'd be alone for the last 15 minutes on Earth. You'd spend it with your friends, wouldn't you?" Like, it's got real vibes of just, you don't care enough about me to not see your friends for the last 15 minutes on Earth. Like, where's the solution of, we will go see my friends together, and me and you and my friends will be together for the final 15 minutes on Earth? Nope. You gotta pick me or them, who you spend the last 15 minutes on Earth with.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's wild when you listen to the words. And the last one I wanted to talk about was a track called Armchair Anarchism by Not Half Bad. It's a fairly laid-back kind of punk track about trying to shake loose your own apathy and get angry and emotional rather than numb about all the shit going on in the world.
Goodness.
Yeah. That's what I listen to. What about you?
So many listens. Well, I can do some things that we listen to. So in that Psytrance mix that we listened to, first of all, the one track I really liked was KVSH, Beowulf and Flake. It's called Me Gusta, the Voxel Impact Groove Remix.
Ooh.
So that's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words.
Then we went on like a whole mix of... I think there was a mix of like 99 to 2001 techno.
Yeah.
We also listened to Mr. B the Gentleman Rhymer doing songs for Acid Edward because I knew you hadn't seen the video for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there I recognised.
Yeah, there's some good tracks in there. We listened to Caddock the Night Train.
Yeah.
Boom Funk MC the Freestyler. Straight from the top of my dome.
Straight from the top of my dome.
DJ Quicksilver, Bellissima. Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam.
Pump up the jam.
Pump it up. De-Groovy. Delight, Groovies in the Heart.
De-Groovy.
De-Gorgeous. Delight.
Grooves in the heart.
Groove is in the heart. We also listened to Inner City, Good Life. Let me take you to a place I know it's a good life. Yeah. It was a
It was a night of music. Yeah.
Yes. I passed out about 3:30.
Yeah.
You were still going to 7.
Yeah, I didn't really sleep. Tee-hee. Had a great time.
I'm glad.
Feel very refreshed.
Very refreshed. You need that holiday, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I got to one day to the end of the holiday and immediately started being like, but you could have been productive in that time. Oh, fuck off, I needed a holiday.
Yeah.
But you could have been productive.
You will create better things for having had time not trying to do things.
Brain's sad now. So,
is that everything we'd listened to?
I think that's everything we listened to.
Well then.
Time for this.
Time for this. Right, everyone, I've called this press conference. I hope you're all ready and here to take notes. So, I'm here to announce today that we're going into lockdown. Yes, over there.
Yeah, were we not already in lockdown?
No, this is different.
How different?
Well, see, previously we were in a series of tiered, I suppose we were calling them lockdowns, but they were a series of tiered restrictions by area of escalating value. They were different restrictions added over time that meant you should probably stay home. This is a lockdown. It is one thing, and you stay home.
But we're all at this press conference.
Yes, but that's important because people get to point cameras at me and see how important I am and that I'm doing a good job. So that's an essential... You're an essential worker.
Oh, bloody hell. What's different about this than the previous tiered restrictions?
Well, you see, previously Tier 1 basically meant nothing. Tier 2 basically meant nothing. Tier 3 meant that you weren't supposed to leave the city. You were supposed to stay where you were. Didn't really enforce it, but just picture this as Tier 11. This is basically the same as your previous tiered system, except Greggs and McDonald's are shut now.
So I've got a question.
Yes, over there.
Right, have we decided yet? Are the schools closing?
Well, yesterday, the day before the schools open, we did decide that the schools were going to open.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about that.
I have today changed my mind, they're not going to be open.
So the schools are staying closed now?
Yes, they're closing back up. I'm pretty sure because we only opened for a day, the germs won't have had time to find the children. Children are small, germs are even smaller. They won't have had time to find each other yet.
So what, like a statistical thing of like amount of thing to thing?
Statistical, that sounds good, yes, that. This is definitely different to what we've been doing before. Before was called lockdown, but this is lockdown. Thank you.
Right then. See, now that Brexit's gone through, that's all dealt with, all sunlit uplands and all that good stuff. And now the supermarket shelves might have noticed they've got a bit more space to spread out now that they're not being cramped in by all that European stuff. Might notice that got to make some changes from your usual foodstuffs. Got to stick with what's available in it. So here I am with some alternatives. Instead of tomatoes, Spanish in it. Why not try a nice potato? They even rhyme. Potatoes, tomatoes. See, and that's better than that whole song about the old American pronunciation thing, innit? Instead of lettuce, why not try shredded potato? Because, it's thin like the lettuce, and it's way more filling than a lettuce. But also, when you cut into a potato, it's kind of watery like a lettuce. So it's the same thing, innit? Lastly, instead of a Tory government, why not try unionising? Rally together as one voice and destroy capitalism. Or a potato. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah. Alright, Larry.
Alright, Barry. How you doing?
Not bad, mate. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year to you too. Did you have a nice night in?
Yeah, nice night in. Yeah, sat around, played some board games.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, you been up to much?
Oh, you know, getting annoyed at the BBC.
I mean, I've not watched it in years.
I don't watch them either, but I'm just conceptually aware of them and they annoy me.
Yeah. Try to block them out, I suppose. At this point.
I was thinking about their eternal both sidesism, the impartiality that they preach.
That's not impartiality.
No, it is not. So You got me thinking. The idea that you have to hear both sides of a debate to have, to have properly thought through the debate. No, not all viewpoints deserve to be aired.
Well, I mean, it's not like you'd get like some doctor talking about some new life-saving treatment on, and then to counter it for the sake of balance, you'd have some kind of genocidal murderer.
Well, exactly. It'd be silly to, every time you have a nature documentary that talks about the Earth being spherical, just for balance, here's someone on the documentary who believes the world is flat, just so they can get their say.
Well, exactly, if in the interest of balance...
Yeah, you got to share all viewpoints. If someone sincerely believes a different viewpoint, you got to share it.
Yeah, regardless of how much of a ridiculous quack or massive bigot they happen to be.
Exactly. And that, there's a reason that when, we're, reporting on minority groups, you should not be getting on hate groups for balance, for example.
Yeah.
There is not always two correct sides to an argument.
Yeah, sorry, I've just got slightly locked in my head the concept of hate groups for balance.
Oh no.
No, I don't
Don't tempt fate.
I don't want to see that as some kind of action group.
Oh no, but you get what I mean. Like,
Yes.
this idea that you've got to have both sides for balance. Both sidesism is ridiculous because often there is a correct side and a hateful or incorrect conspiracy side.
Or there is just a group of people and a bunch of horrible bigots.
Exactly. And the sooner we as a species get over this idea that, you can't hear both sides, you can't give a platform to both sides, the better off we're going to be as a species.
Yeah.
Virtual lag.
Well, I was hoping that sometime soon we'd be getting to these, but might be a little bit longer.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Oh, good old mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a lie down.
You have a good lie down. Sleep well, mate.
Oh, you too.
So, Laura,
Me?
where can we find you on the internet, darling?
Laura K. Buzz in all the places. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. If you can donate as little as $1 or €1 or £1 a month, that lets me keep doing this full time. LauraKBuzz.com, everything gets posted there. I Twitch stream Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 PM UK, 5 PM Eastern, 2 PM Pacific. There's books. Uncomfortable Labels, that's about being an autistic trans woman. There's Things I Learned from Mario's Butt that comes out on February 4th, 2021. That's about video game character butts. It's got a bunch of pictures in it. There's Gender Euphoria, which is coming out on June 10th, 2021. It's just about non-cis people's positive gender-affirming stories and experiences. It's just a nice positive book. And I'm already working on the book that's going to come after that.
Books.
It's in a tab on that screen over there somewhere. It's that one.
Heck.
That tab. That one. They like my first draft. It's probably happening. Yeah. There's also Accessibility, which is a show that goes up on YouTube every Friday, where we talk about disability accessibility in the games industry. And you, Jane, you edit that. This week's one is a 2020 recap. We go through fucking everything accessibility-wise in 2020.
Cuts.
Yeah, it's a lot of just like, go. Sentence for this, go.
So much footage.
It's a good primer if you want to be like, what happened last year?
Yeah.
This is just
Previously on accessibility.
previously on accessibility in the games industry. So that's a thing. And then there's podcasts. There's Podquisition. We tell you whether your favourite video games are great or perfect. There's Dice Funk. It's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I'm on seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and very soon season 8. There's already some art of the NPCs that has been commissioned. Someone who does lots of Dice Funk art got to know about what the NPCs were going to be early, so they could draw them.
that might be the case, to be honest.
Yeah. So there's art of the NPCs, which is cool. That's coming soon. And then there's another podcast I'm on with you that isn't this one.
Yeah, that's Polyamory.
Yeah, tell
it's
me
a
about
D&D
that.
5th edition real play podcast with questionable morals. And I'm an idiot, and I forgot to put it up on
on Saturday.
Oops.
I edited it, I made a video for it, and then I apparently just left it on my desktop and walked away for the holiday.
We've all done that sometimes.
So that'll probably go up Saturday now, and we'll restart the timer on when that show goes up. It's it's a fun little romp through the Underdark and then later Overground, and Laura is sort of becoming a dab wizard, and we have adorable friends, and for anyone who watched or listened to season 1, Trash Boy's back, so enjoy that. And yeah, that is a fun show that we do. I also have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify a 69-hour nice work week. I mean, nice is relative to the 69. I also design t-shirts. Those are available on my Redbubble. I make music under the name Bedroom Programmer on SoundCloud. I do other things too. There's this podcast. There is Polyamory. We have skitisodes for this show, so if you like just the skits and you want to hear all the stuff from the beginning, all the skitisodes are slowly going up from episode 1. I think we're like 27 episodes into those now, so you can enjoy classic goofs from us without all the other talking about stuff that's probably irrelevant by now. I think that's mostly important. I stream on Thursdays on Twitch, twitch.tv/Janiac. All of my links can be found at streamerlinks.com/Janiac. That's JANEIAC. Laura, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.